welcome.
Hey.
You are watching Septum Sen versus the World. I'm Septum Sen, and this is Kotobuki Jake.
Hi.
So we're going to change up our upcoming DVD and video updates just a little bit.
And this is Mr. Larson.
And he was not very happy. He's, matter of fact, he really hates the changes that we've made. He does not like non-anime. Carpy is an anime-only cat. And he likes to keep other stuff secret because he likes to get them first before they go out of print. That's when he heard that Gundam Wing was coming out. He threatened everybody that, I'm not going to let you talk about that because you're going to regret it until I've got my copy in hand. I don't know if you've heard about that, the Gundam Wing announcement that they're finally releasing that on Blu-ray. They're doing a nice set. It's going to come out in December.
Good times.
For many people who grew up with that on Cartoon Network, that's the Gundam that most people actually got to know here in the United States. So it's worth talking about.
And
but
that's one that I think that's the one that I have just part of the collection, and I'll have to upgrade.
No one's going to have a full Gundam collection, of course.
No.
I mean, anybody who has a full one, I would love to see it. Now, in fact, if you do have a full Gundam collection, send pictures.
Yes, we require proof.
Yes. So, we've had a pretty big one. I'm going to include regular releases. We're going to expand this. I had been doing it separately, and I'm planning on eventually separating off when I do with my wife. If we ever do get our channel started, this is going to be one of the things we're going to do, and then we'll just go back to the anime releases again. And I've got cats fighting here under. Carpy's trying to enforce his stuff. He didn't like me talking about Gundam. Yeah, I know you're looking at me. Any case, so let's start with the actual first of the releases. So I guess I'll go first there, then I'll let you go after that. You can just read down the list. I've got my cheat sheet right down here.
Okay.
So the first one is Rainbow Days, which is being released by Funimation. Now, of course, this is all stuff being released on the 22nd, so about a week from today. So, Rainbow Days, from what I got, it's just about this guy. He just had a breakup, and then he was cheered on by this girl that he met, and then he was obsessed with winning over this girl, but this girl was not quite into it, so the series is sort of this drama, comedy, whatever, about him trying to win her heart over. I think that's what I got from it. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about like what I read about it. I know very little about this series, but it looks fairly interesting.
Yes, based on a 58,000 light novel series. Also, with a 50-year run of manga. No, just kidding. I don't know anything about this other than that. It looks interesting. It probably will not be on my list of things to get anytime soon, unless it somehow wins like all these awards and stuff, but I've got plenty of stuff on my list that I have to put on hold because I'm on a buying freeze right now. So I even had to put off my order of Dragon Ball Super Volume 2. So yeah, go ahead for the next one there.
Okay. Well, I guess the next one we got here is Bakuon. Bakuon. It's got punctuation. It's a Sentai release. And I looked at their artwork and I said, oh, it's a Girls with Machines sort of show. It apparently is about a motorcycle club, and this girl, of course it has the mysterious, cool student that this girl idolizes and looks up to. I don't really know much about it at all, but it looks like it would be worth a look. Like most Sentai releases, I kind of flag them as if it goes cheap, I might get it. But I'm not sure I'll make much effort beyond that. But it looks interesting.
Kind of looks like one of those cutesy K-On! Type series, with the just, except it's motorbikes instead of like music or...
Kind of reminded me in a way with the motorbike thing of some oh my god, as some of those characters, so if that has half the humor of that motorcycle club, then it could be...
I mean, it looks good. If it was on sale for a ridiculously low price, I might look into it, but who knows what's going to happen this winter when they have their big sale again. So we'll see how it goes. So far, though, unfortunately, down the list, at least for us. Then the next one is Beyond the Boundary. Again, Sentai. Sentai's got a big release this week. It has both movies in this series. I looked that up. I didn't even know that there were 2 movies. I don't know much about this. It's about apparently this girl who can control her blood and use it as a weapon, and then there's this guy who's sort of partially human, and he's not afraid of her, and this sort of forms into some sort of possibly romantic sci-fi fantasy thing.
I think he has healing abilities.
He heals fast.
Yeah.
And that's about the gist of what I know about the series. Have you heard a lot more about it?
Well, I haven't heard a lot, but this is one that triggered my interest when I first heard about it. And from what I understand, I think the way the movies work, I think this is like Eden of the East, where you have the series and then the 2 movies that basically extend and end the series. I think that's how that's set up. So it's one that you would want to have the series too.
Okay.
But it definitely is on my radar. And, again, when it goes really cheap one day, I'll definitely pick them up. Maybe I'll get a deal like I did with Eden of the East, because I ended up getting that really cheap.
I mean, you've heard about how Aniplex is finally getting their release ramped up for another one of those series that had the movie that they had licensed. Gosh, what was it? The one about the girl who died and the and then her friends were
Hana?
Yeah, they're actually looking at that because they got a hold of a release of that.
Well, they've got the movie out.
Yeah, but they've also got the series.
Oh, the series.
So they're going to release a combined movie series set. I think it's like 127 or 150 or something like that. So it's going to be interesting in the future.
I already have this series.
That's going to be interesting.
That was an NIS pickup, and Anohana is a freaking awesome show.
Yeah.
I would like to see the movie. I've heard it's weaker than the show, which is one reason I didn't want to pay Aniplex prices, but
tearjerker thing. But if you get a combined set, it might be worth it.
If you don't want if you don't mind a baldly manipulative tearjerker, it's near the top of the list.
So you go ahead and get the next one for me.
The next one is one that I was this close to getting on the birthday sale. It was a little bit out of my price range because I kind of wanted to spring for the premium set. But Sentai is doing more and more premium sets. And one that's coming up that has gotten really good buzz on ANN and just in general has gotten some buzz is a show called School Live. And I'm really curious about this. I do not normally do zombie-themed stuff. I'm not a zombie person. I don't like the whole thing. But there are a few shows here and there that catch my interest, like Zombieland is wonderful, things like that. And in anime there is This a Zombie, which is a fun show. But this one is a combination zombie apocalypse story and cutesy slice of life high school club, and I don't really know how to tell you beyond that, other than apparently the main twist is in the first episode. So if you watch even one episode, the spoiler is no longer there. But I kind of feel like I don't want... Some people are super spoiler sensitive. I don't particularly mind knowing the spoiler, knowing that I won't see the show for another couple of years. But whenever I do, that is one I actually want to see. And I'm almost tempted to get the premium set. Sentai, I don't think either of us have one of their premium sets yet.
I don't think so.
I did put in a pre-order for Squid Girl. Yeah, but
oh, the premium set? Oh,
yes,
yeah, you did, yeah.
Yes, the premium set.
I just have the DVD set.
And incidentally, being an environmentalist, I have to say, Sentai is claiming that they're giving a donation to ocean preservation for each premium set of Squid Girl they sell. So go for it. But with most of their others, I don't know if they've got something like that going. But this is one where their premium sets look really cool. And I would say they're not Aniplex price. They're not... They're kind of NIS price.
$80 or something like that?
Yeah, and so since I haven't physically looked at one yet, I'm not sure. but it looks like it may be just as good as Ian and I have said, so it may be worth doing. But I've got one on tap, but I'm looking forward to this one, regardless of what version I get eventually.
Oh, and there's one that I'm looking forward to also, which is next, and we've walked out of the anime. By the way, though, School Live, I do think that the idea of a school living club is an entertaining thought. I mean, even without, if you put the zombies out and you put this this club that lives in the school, that would actually be even more entertaining, in my opinion. Yeah. So I'm curious as to how that turns out. One that I'm keeping an eye on. The next one up, again, we're out of our anime, so we're into regular releases. Is going to be one I have pre-ordered, mainly because I'm trying to keep up Steelbook releases, and Best Buy is doing a Steelbook release, limited run, of Ash vs. The Walking Dead Season 2.
Versus The Walking Dead, what a crossover.
Sorry, not Walking Dead. Versus Evil Dead, yes. Evil Dead Season 2. Walking Dead's making an appearance on this list, but not there. I actually really liked both seasons of this show. I've seen both seasons. I was kind of curious how it was going to turn out after the weird run of Season 1. It's a fairly short series for season. It's actually pretty easy to get into, pretty easy to watch. They're half-hour episodes. It's actually not a big slog. You can get through it pretty easily in a good run-through. And both series are very much worth watching. I've really enjoyed getting back into this. I'm hoping to get this and do a good long watch through sometime in the near future. If you haven't seen it, definitely look into it. I mean, it's on Stars. If you get the Stars little app thingy, you can actually watch the whole thing. Just get a month worth. Watch it. So, what do you think of it? You've seen like an episode. Have you seen any?
I don't think I've seen any of it, but. Remind me, that one does have Bruce Campbell, right?
Yep. Oh, Bruce Campbell is reprising his character, Ash. Yeah. It takes place like a good while after The Walking Dead. Walking Dead. Evil Dead. I keep seeing Walking Dead, and I keep...
See, your fault for sandwiching it between two zombie items on your list.
Yeah.
But the... I don't think I've seen this. I was not a huge Evil Dead person, but I've always enjoyed the character of Ash, especially as he was in Army of Darkness. That is a classic film because Bruce Campbell is flippin' hilarious. So I'm curious about this. I'd like, Bruce Campbell's usually awesome. So it's worth seeing if only for that, and it'd be worth getting if only for the credits.
Oh, yeah. Lucy Lawless in it.
Oh, really?
That's Xena, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. She's like one of the main characters in it. Again, it's a great one. It's a comedy. It actually goes in order. You can watch the 3 movie series and look at this as something that happens many years later. He's older. He's moved on from Army of Darkness and brings it all back again. So it's like I say, it's worth watching. Bruce Campbell is fun to watch. There's another movie of his that's coming out that I cannot think of the name of, that has him in it that I've been interested in. There's one that's going to be on my pickup list, or has been on the pickup list since it's come out earlier, that you might that you'll notice. So it's going to be interesting. I look forward to it. So, there, next up.
Well, speaking again and again of The Walking Dead, and I don't know why you put me to do both of the zombie ones. Okay.
Hey, I got one zombie one.
The Walking Dead Season 7 is apparently coming out, and I'm sure the majority of our viewers probably are at least vaguely familiar with this series.
Yeah.
It's been huge. I mean, it has been a big, big series. I myself have seen the bulk of the first 2 seasons, but relatively little after that. And I like it. I mean, I'm not a big zombie type, I know they're technically walkers, but I like what I saw. Some of the characters were really fun. the way it was done, it was a well put together series, at least at first, and I assume it still is.
For the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. I've heard there have been some very controversial decisions as the show has gone on. A lot of it is very faithful to the comic source, and a lot of it is not. So if it's, I think by this point, season 7, if you're collecting it, you're collecting it. If you're not, or like me, you're planning to. But it's probably, at this point, there's probably not going to be too many people who know of it who are going to be having their opinions changed. But it's definitely worth checking out if you haven't. You do have to have some tolerance for somewhat gory violence. You definitely have to have tolerance for people who are assholes, and you'll have to,
especially this season.
But it's definitely an interesting show, and I'll get it one of these days, but I have not yet started on that one.
See, now, me, of course, I've got the first 6 seasons. I've watched through my I've seen all of them. I've seen season 7 for the most part. For what I bothered to watch, and I've usually watched at least half-heartedly this season. My wife is a huge Walking Dead fan. I actually do like Walking Dead for the most part. Season 7 kind of picked up from the cliffhanger that season 6 actually left off on, which was Negan, who is a villain that many people who were interested in the comics had been wanting to come in. Because Negan it makes some of the previous villains look tame. So, season 6 introduces him and shows how he basically takes Rick and his crew down a peg. And season 7 is basically about him beating up on Rick and his group for almost the entire season. This made this season a little bit more irritating. Now, the guy who plays Negan, excellent. Excellent actor, excellent at the role.
Is that the one played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, or am I getting mixed up?
I think so. It could be.
That's pretty cool.
But he does do a good job, a really good job at it. It's fairly well acted as a series. I'm just it just was a bit much to me because it's constantly losing, and now the end culminates in some things that are quite amazing. There's a scene with a tiger. I won't go into too many details because I'm not going to spoil it, but it just makes the entire thing when it comes about. So, if you want to keep up with the series, next season is going to actually pick up on a positive thing where you get to see the war happen. So, if you want to suffer through season 7, just be prepared. It is a very dark downer of a season from start to close to finish. So, on the other note, we've got Supergirl season 2, which is not a downer of a series. I've seen most of season 1 back when it was on, I think, was it ABC or CBS?
I believe it was CBS.
CBS. And then, of course, they moved it to CW because it wasn't doing as well on its home channel, which is fine because now it can sit with its sister shows like Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow, Flash. Yeah. These series that have been really doing well with the DC universe. I mean, the movie universe has been kind of falling flat on its face constantly. The TV universe has been pretty solid.
Not constantly. Wonder Woman was pretty good.
Yeah, Wonder Woman did well. But still, it's just, and when I found out Coke Money actually went into that film, that bothered me a little bit. But the first season was very uplifting. Like The Flash, Arrow is its own thing. Arrow is pretty much Batman with arrows, essentially, and very dark for the most part, but again, very much within the spirit of the comic books. And Flash and Supergirl are much more lighthearted, when it comes to that sort of thing. It's the lighter versions of the universe. I mean, the only thing that really bugged me about Supergirl is they wanted to change Jimmy Olsen into James because they didn't want her falling in love with somebody who would look, nerdy or, uncool. She had to be able to fall in love with the, really buff supermodel type. So, that bothered me a bit. But for the most part, I am curious about it. I'm thinking this is the one that has Superman in it, but or was it season 3? I don't remember. I think season 2 that has Superman in it. I need to catch up. And probably around Black Friday when these go on sale for $10
right.
a piece, I'll probably will catch up.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to make a major step forward on that.
So, any thoughts on Supergirl?
Well, I've only seen bits and pieces. I have not gotten to really with all the what they call the Arrowverse stuff. I hate to say it, but I'm largely out of the loop. I've seen bits and pieces of Arrow, bits and pieces, and a few full episodes of Supergirl. I have not yet seen Legends of Tomorrow, but I have seen the entire first season of Flash. And actually, he got it for me, and I was
He's
awesome.
ahead on me there.
Yeah. Huh?
He's ahead on me there. I've seen only like half of that season.
I loved it. Flash, there are some ways that it takes liberties with the comics, but there are ways in which it is more faithful than a lot of the movie releases tend to be. You're talking about changing up James Olsen. That can't be as bad as what they did to him in Batman v Superman. But anyway, it's a really fun, comparatively speaking. I mean, compared to those movies, that even Arrow. I know again Arrow mainly from his appearances on Flash. The characters that cross over. Arrow is a little bit dour. He should be more snappy, more quippy, I think.
Well, they
wanted in the comics
Batman.
He is.
They wanted a Batman
he's Green
character.
Batman. But definitely some of his cohorts. Felicity Smoke is hilarious and awesome. And one crossover who I think has only appeared once on each show. But the guy that played Samuel Sullivan on Heroes has a couple of appearances as the Clock King, and he's great. And then, of course, in Flash, you've got the guy Wentworth Miller's Captain Cold is one of my favorites on the series. Now, with Supergirl, we have Melissa Benoist as Supergirl. And she, of course, was introduced to me and probably you through Glee. Yeah. And she was great on Glee. She's great in the tiny role she has in Whiplash. And I'm looking forward to more from her. But she is very good as Supergirl. And that alone, I'm definitely going to get this series one of these days. It's just, like he said, Black Friday. All those series are going to be high on my list. Oh, yeah,
they all go on. Keep in mind, if you want to get many of these, Black Friday on Amazon, or if you go to Walmart, a lot of these WB series go on sale for about $10 a piece. As far as the DVD, I can't remember. The Blu-ray might do around the same. Me, I don't mind getting on DVD because the production value is okay, but I don't consider it Blu-ray like spectacular. But they're going to have a big crossover sometime soon with all the series, and that's going to be interesting. I really wish that they had made a deal and decided to incorporate the movie universe into that universe. I don't know what it was that was the problem, because I think
they wanted it different.
Because WB actually owns both of them, don't they?
Yeah, they wanted it different, because when they started the movie thing, they wanted Zack Snyder somehow.
Dark.
I don't know what Zack Snyder did that they wanted everything to go according to his vision.
300.
And his vision did not jibe. The reason they recast Flash was they could not do the same story, the same characters, because he was so dark. And of course, now that they're learning that the movies need to get lighter,
no, it would have been a better idea.
But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out.
I think personally, I actually believe that Zack Snyder was the result of Batman. It was that Dark Knight trilogy. It's because they were looking for dark and gritty. They saw dark and gritty sold, and well, they can't get Christopher Nolan to do it. Yeah. So what do? They gotta get another dark and edgy one. So Zack Snyder.
And it's really funny. I mean, it's really sad that why he had to bow down, why he had to bow out of the, he apparently Snyder had some family issues that is very sad.
Yeah.
So they brought in Joss Whedon to take care, and that's just like, really? You ruined these movies because you wanted to show how different you are from the Avengers. And then you're going to bring in the Avengers director to make Justice League. Really?
Well, at least he likes...
It gives me more hope for Justice League.
Yeah,
but
at least he likes the source material, and that's the important thing.
Whedon, I think any true geek knows you can trust Joss Whedon to do a reasonably faithful comic book.
I gave you the fun one.
Oh, yes. Our next release is a movie I'd never freaking heard of.
Probably never will.
I looked on IMDb, and they have like a 2.4 rating, I think, out of 10. Mm-hmm. But it's a movie called Jezebeth. And it's apparently a very low, I guess an independent studio or something. More of an independent
release.
Amazon listed as a Region Zero, so I thought it was a bootleg at first. But anyway, I don't really know much about it except that it involves hot girls, demons, the Catholic Church. All the ingredients of a good horror story, right?
Catholic schoolgirl in trouble.
Exactly. I cannot say that I will be looking for that one, but I'm sure he will be. He loves those badly rated stuff, and he loves horror. If I ever get the chance to watch it, I might.
Well,
we'll see.
I love bad horror, and I love smaller indie directors. Even the bigger indie directors, a lot of them, when they do their own company and their own distribution, they tend to go with Region Zero. It's a lot easier to do. It's, if you're doing DVDRs or DVDR burning, it's usually not region locked. This is how they usually do it. So you expect Region Zero. It usually ships universally for that. I mean, I've got this witchcraft set that you're going to see later on, and that one also I got directly from the director of them, and I'm sure it's in that vein. I mean, it's kind of funny it came up for him because I'm usually the one that watches these. I understand why some people watch these, but I watch them for a slightly different reason than that. I tend to watch it because it's so bad, it's funny. That's why I watch Evil Bong. I mean, I will watch the Evil Bong series until they burn it out. I will contribute until they burn out.
The first Evil Bong is actually a delightfully fun movie if you enjoy stupid, bad horror, especially with Tommy Chong in it. The second two, though, are just kind of boring, and I haven't seen anything beyond them. But I know I know what he's saying. This is a series that is an ultra low, low budget, ultra low budget, and it's always fun to support these filmmakers, even if what they're putting out could be a little better. It's fun to support the effort.
Then I get the one that's the artsy one, which is kind of funny in that sense,
right.
Which is Sid and Nancy. Sid and Nancy is nothing new. It's that whole Sid Vicious story. Mm-hmm. It's been kind of mired in some controversy because it's really the Sid Vicious story as told by Johnny Rotten, which, anybody familiar with the Sex Pistols knows there wasn't exactly the most love between the two at the time. And, of course, Sid Vicious can't really recant any of this stuff because he's dead. So my father really loved this movie, and I have gotten to see it, unfortunately, many, many, many times because of that. So I've kind of gotten indifferent to this movie because of that. But it is coming out on Criterion. Mm-hmm. And it is a well-done movie, and it is a must-see movie. It is definitely a award-level movie, so I understand it.
Wasn't Gary Oldman up for awards?
I think that was up for an award, which shows it, was that caliber. It's just, it's sort of like Crumb. I've been exposed to it way too much. It's worthy of a Criterion release, but, I mean, I don't know what you know about it. I mean, you said you haven't watched it yet.
I know. I never saw Crumb until I watched it with him and his father. That was, oh man. But anyway, I don't think I've seen Sid and Dancy. But it is, like you said, it's a very important film. And Criterion release definitely begs paying attention.
Yep.
And it would be one that I would consider maybe getting next time they do the sale. We'll see how my budget is at that point, but it's on the list now.
I mean, I'll be getting it. Not sure whether I'll get it for myself, but I'll be getting it for my father. He hasn't watched this, so it's okay. But he'll be getting that for Christmas this year, so it works out for me.
Yeah.
So, it's up to you, which
All right.
is...
It's a movie I have seen.
You actually have seen it. I haven't seen. So
you haven't seen this yet?
No, I have never seen it.
Okay, well, they're doing a 15th anniversary release of Nicky Caro's Whale Rider, which is a wonderful little film from New Zealand that basically put Keisha Castle-Hughes on the map and made her one of the youngest ever Oscar nominees for acting. I think she was 14 at the time. Which she's not youngest, but she's, pretty young. And she does a great job. The rest of the cast, I think Cliff Curtis, I want to say plays her father, but I could be remembering that wrong.
Yeah.
They all do a great job. It's a nice little peek into Maori culture and everything along those lines. The title refers to certain... I guess you could say tribal. They're not really, sort of rituals that they've passed down through the generations. And it's really a good little movie. It was very much when it came out, the critics all raved about it, and I fully agreed with them on this one. I looked up the 15th anniversary release, and I don't see that there's anything that means it an essential pickup. I do need to eventually convert my copy to Blu-ray. If you already have it, you probably don't need this new edition, unless you're trying to convert from DVD to Blu-ray. It is a very pretty film, so a Blu-ray conversion might be a nice idea.
Is that the first time it's on Blu-ray?
I don't remember. It may be. It may be the first Blu-ray release. I don't know. I will say that it definitely is. It's definitely worth looking at. Keisha Castle-Hughes kind of fell off the map, unfortunately, but the director Nicky Caro has been sticking around and apparently is directing Disney's upcoming remake of Mulan, among other things. So it'd be interesting to see one of the movies that kind of put her on the map too. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. Yeah.
Now, the question on my mind, which I'm sure is on the mind of everybody who has never seen this movie.
Right.
Now, when I see Whale Rider, when I see the picture on the front and I think about it, my immediate picture is like that scene from Dune, except it's like the combined with the Sound of Music scene, where she's singing that the hills are alive while she's riding on top of a whale with the big reins on top.
The whales are alive.
But is it like that? Do they ride whales in Whale Rider?
If memory serves me correctly, because it has been a few years since I've seen it, there is a riding of the whale involved at some point in the film.
But not like that, probably.
Not quite like that.
Oh.
Sound of the Music was not something that popped into my mind.
I don't know what it is. It's just, I feel like, I don't know why my memory of it, but every time I think of the cover, it's like the woman looks like she's doing this. And, on the cover. Yeah. And I think to myself, she's singing her song as she's riding the whale. Maybe into battle. Like they train their chieftains to ride the whales against the rival ones who also ride like big old narwhals, and they joust each other. And okay, well, now we're getting into B-movie territory.
No, man, you just got me thinking about her character using narwhal blast.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So it's my turn. It's another one I don't know a lot about. You might know more about it than I do. It's called Kill Switch. I think it came out this year.
Yeah.
It's a sci-fi action. I know that much. And I can tell that much by reading it and looking at it, and I don't remember anything else, and I don't remember it coming out other than in passing. So, what do you know about Killswitch?
Barely more than that. I know it stars Dan Stevens, and I know that given the fact that he's a pretty big name right now, the fact that the movie came out and sank without a trace doesn't say much for it. IMDb's rating, I think, was in the mid-5s, something. It was an okay rating. The description of the movie, it sounded interesting, but it sounded like, maybe one day.
It needed more whale riding Amazons.
Yeah.
I think if any movie, if you add whale riding Amazons, that's gonna up the quality right there. Maybe not the art quality, but definitely the entertainment quality. Or
maybe they could have had Dan Stevens. He could have been reprising his role from Downton Abbey or something, and maybe that would help. I don't know.
There you go. These last two are actually very, very adequate with who's getting these. So,
yes. Okay, Whale Rider's not the only movie that I think very highly of that's getting a re-release this week. This one I looked up, and it actually is an upgrade, and I will be converting my DVD to this Blu-ray eventually. Although I'm still kind of holding out the hope for a Criterion set. But as you may know, if you've watched our previous videos, I am a very big fan of the Coen brothers. And they are really awesome filmmakers, and they did a very interesting 1-2 punch at the start of the 90s. And I'm very tempted to go in a very long backstory about all this, but one thing you should know is that they are very, very, apparently Khalees is telling me not to do that.
She's mad.
One thing that you should know about them is that they are huge fans of Preston Sturges, and they have utilized his film several times in their movies. And never more so than when they made O Brother Where Art Thou, which is the film that John L. Sullivan in Sullivan's Travels intended to make and never made.
I need to see Sullivan's Travels.
You do. It's essential.
And I've got it in my collection.
And O Brother Where Art Thou is my favorite film, partly because of all the levels of brilliance to it. But it wasn't actually the first time they tackled Sullivan's Travels. Barton Fink was a film that they wrote when they were having a very, very severe level of writer's block. And they ended up breaking from it, making Miller's Crossing, and then coming back to Barton Fink. And Miller's Crossing, by the way, one of the best gangster films ever put out. But Barton Fink is a dark version of John L. Sullivan. He is kind of the flip side of the coin. Just like Sullivan, he is a successful writer, in this case a playwright, and Sullivan was a filmmaker, who wants to make a magnum opus for the common man. But even more so than John L. Sullivan, Barton Fink don't know crap about the common man. He knows nothing about what he's writing about. Yeah. He's one of those artists who is so into the art, and he moves out to Hollywood to make movies because everyone says you gotta do it. And he ends up writing a B-grade wrestling picture, befriending a guy played by John Mahoney, who's basically a William Faulkner. Is it William Faulkner who drank himself to death, or Ernest Hemingway?
Well, both of them.
Ernest
Hemingway killed himself.
I think Hemingway went to Hollywood and basically drank themselves to death. Yeah. Mahoney does a brilliant job with that role, and John Goodman is awesome as the neighbor who's a traveling salesman. And but John Turturro plays Barton Fink, and it's one of the best roles he'll ever have. And it's a dark movie. It's technically a comedy, but it is a scathing comedy. Yeah. You have to have a very, very definite appreciation for these kind of things. But if you've never seen it, check it out. Like any of the Coen films, it's worth at least one look. And being a special edition, like I said, that's going on my list. I do need to convert to Blu-ray for that one. Not that it's really a Blu-ray film, it's just it takes up less space. And if it is special edition, I'm hoping that the conversion was really well done.
Yeah, that would be good. I actually considered it a little bit grainy on my initial watch.
Right. The old print wasn't that special, so it could be one that doesn't convert well to Blu-ray, but it's still, like I said, definitely worth a lot.
Let's see. The Coen brothers for me are up and down. The fact that they keep going back to the Book of Job, and they seem to...
It all comes back to the Book of Job.
And some of their movies, it shows like they seem to take pleasure in other people's pain. And their short in Paris Je t'aime, or Serious Man, which just looked like they're... I mean, when people had said that was a comedy, I still look cross-eyed. Like, I can't laugh at it because it's so miserable and depressing and terrible.
Well, it was based on the Book of Job.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's not my least favorite film, but it is probably in my bottom 10. But at the same time, some of their films are up there for me as well. So they're really up and down for me. I mean, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is definitely in my top 10 films that I would consider of all time. And Barton Fink is actually one of my favorite Coen Brothers films. I mean, my top 3, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Hudsucker Proxy, and Barton Fink. And of course, a lot of the others really up there too. I mean, like I said, there's so many hits, occasional misses. I love Barton Fink. The acting was superb, and John Goodman just brought that home, especially at the end. And again, if you haven't seen it, definitely go for it. I've got the film in a Coen Brothers collection, so it's not going to be upgrading for me anytime soon. In a way, I think the old style of it is pretty decent. In the end, I save a lot of room with that collection because they're all like in the little thin cases with the thing. It's only about that big, and it has like a number of their films in it, but not Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It's which I might actually upgrade to Blu-ray eventually. Do they have a Blu-ray release of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh yeah, no, I need to upgrade that one myself, and that's another one that I very much want.
That needs a Criterion.
That really needs a Criterion release. They need to do a 2-pack of Oh Brother, Art Thou with Sullivan Strauss.
Yeah, that would
be great.
So the last...
and Down from the Mountain. So do like a 3-pack.
Yeah. I think that the last one was a definite hit. Well, maybe not. We're talking about hits and a miss, so hit and a miss. You were talking about that though. Any time at any special edition of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou has to come with a soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
So with this one, I don't know if the soundtrack is any good. I don't know much about it other than just a couple things. One, it's an Arrow release. So since it's an Arrow release, I know it's going to be a clean release. I know the edition is going to be awesome looking. I know that they're going to have great special features, and any cleaning up that needs to be done will be done. On the other end, I don't know much about this. It's a film called The Slayer. It's an older slasher film. It's about demons and such, and killing and slashing and co-eds probably running naked. Who knows? Maybe there are no naked co-eds. I haven't seen it. I know that it does have some... I have heard of it beforehand. I'm no connoisseur of those films, but I do know a little bit about the area. And I know if Arrow releases it, it's got to have had some following, and I'm sure it does. And that's really all I have to say about that.
I don't have too much to add on that one.
It's like, if I don't have much to say on this, I'm pretty sure you don't. It's like, no, actually, as a matter of fact, I have the greatest knowledge of this film. I have actually met all the actors during production and have 5 copies of the script signed.
I can't claim that about anything.
Well,
it'd be nice.
With that being said, this is what you've got coming out in the next couple of weeks. I've mentioned a couple things that are further out, and as we get more, and you mentioned some stuff that's further out, like Squid Girl, Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, what was the other one? Well, things that we've mentioned that are going to be releases that are coming out in the near future that are going to be fun to actually see. And as they get ready to come out, we will be there, ready to talk about it the week before release, so that you can get your wallets ready to spend your money. And with that being said, I will try and make sure I've got purchase links down below for everything that you see there. The anime, I'm going to keep Right Stuff links because I like to support Right Stuff. And for the other stuff, mostly probably Amazon links. But
oh yeah, and just curious, because I never knew this before, and I found out the hard way this week. If you do a pre-order from Right Stuff, they will bill you when they ship. If you do a pre-order from Sentai, they will bill you immediately. So it's good to know that.
And Right Stuff will actually bill you immediately if you use PayPal.
Oh, do they?
I found that out today.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know, too.
Yeah. When I
The more you know.
Yeah, when I pre-ordered that Gundam set, it turned out like, okay, build. I'm like, crap.
Okay. Well, maybe it's just a PayPal thing then.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's that they want that money and then bam, they take it. In any case, have a good one. Like, subscribe, share, comment, do all those wonderful things. If you're not a bot, if you are a actual commenter, I will respond. And of course, I don't know if you take a look at any of this stuff to see if there's any comments, but I'm sure that if you're looking and you see some comments, I'm sure you'll respond as well. So
I should start doing that.
yeah, definitely. So have a good one.